580 1059 KMJ. Welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show. I'm attorney Marc Kapetan, your host. Today's show is brought to you by the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm, serving the Central Valley since 1995. If you or anybody you know has been injured in an auto accident, a truck accident, or a motorcycle accident, give us a call at 559-498-8000. Or if you've been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, call us. We can help. 559-498-8000. Kapetan Brothers, we are the Valley's law firm. On the show today is one of my favorite guys in the whole world, purely because of a trip that I took with him to Armenia with about 25 doctors, etc. He is the Vice President of Physicians and International Health Relations at Community Medical Centers. He is the first Honorary Consul to the Republic of Armenia in the United States, Berg Apkarian. Welcome, Berg.
Thank you very much.
Berg, I got to say, you are not only one of my favorite guys, an honorary consul and all those nice little things, but you are a heck of a dancer and you are a heck of a lover of life. You happen to be one of the most spirited, and in the nicest way possible, spirited guys that I know. You really love life.
Thank you very much.
Berg, I'll tell you, we did that trip to Armenia. It was the medical mission to Armenia, and we're going to discuss it. But tell me the fervor that the Armenian people have for their culture and for trying to right the wrongs of the past. It's just something that I did not expect. Where do you see your position as honorary consul? Where do you see your position in this world as far as helping the Armenian people in their plight to regain what they may have lost?
First of all, thank you very much for having me on your show. It's an honor and privilege to be with you, and I have great memories from our trip.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully we can do it again.
Yes.
For me, it's an honor and privilege to serve as the Honorary Consul for Republic of Armenia in the Central San Joaquin Valley. My role is very clear. It's to reignite the love of giving and contribution and bringing the Valley closer to the Republic of Armenia.
I know I started with a very, very wide open-ended question and something that I'm sure you didn't expect. What's your role in it? And it was interesting to find out that everybody in Armenia just individually had this need and fervor to tell their story. What is the history? I started reading up on the history, and I wanted to have you on to explain to people in as simple terms and unemotional terms as possible, although that may be difficult, what happened to Armenia. What is the plight that they're now facing with recent attacks by Azerbaijan? Armenia is something that's from the early 700 BCs, right?
Definitely. Well, given that we experienced the genocide from 1894 all the way to 1915 and plus, there is a special bond between Armenians, regardless where they are, regardless where they come from. When two Armenians come together, as William Saroyan says, watch them. They were built a new church, a new school, a new life, and they will contribute to humanity and the society. The reason we're here today is because Armenians, after the 1915 genocide, got scattered throughout the world.
And we call it the diaspora, right?
That's correct. And diaspora, if you think about it, there are over 8 to 10 million Armenians spread throughout the world. Right. And we're fortunate to be in the United States. The United States has a lot to offer, and we're grateful to the opportunity to be here.
And for the people that may not understand, the term diaspora basically means we are a people, we are a country, but because of what's happened to us in our homeland, our country exists amongst the connections that we have all around the world, right?
Yes, absolutely correct. And had the genocide not taken the place, our population would have been, if you think about it, Mark, between 35 to 38% of the Armenians were massacred.
Right.
And that was a devastating, it's not the 1.5 million, it's what percentage of the population were lost.
Right.
And if you talk to any Armenian, you will not find anyone in the Central Valley in particular that their lives have not been touched. They have not lost the family members
Absolutely.
back in the genocide. Yes.
Yeah, and it causes deep pain inside their hearts, even though they may be once or twice removed from the genocide and the people that they did lose. I do know a common, I just had a young lady who was a general contractor at my house, doing some work at the house, and she was very young. She must have been in her 20s. She knew the history. She knew what happened, the regions, etc. It lives in these young people, unlike anything I've seen before.
Yeah, there's no way, because the wounds, even after 105 years later, the wounds have not healed because we continue battle the denial from the Turkish government. And to top it off, we currently fear our existence is at question because the current regime, the current president of Turkey, is destined to create second Ottoman Empire and finish the job of his grandparents, who he thinks that they did not complete it totally by annihilating every Armenian from the face of the world. And
what you're referring to, and I'm going to go back to the history so people could understand, but what you're referring to is President Erdogan of Turkey, who just, a matter of weeks ago, stated that it is Turkey's job to finish what their grandfather started, referring to the decimation and the genocide of the Armenian people, the Christian nation in that area, right?
Yes, absolutely. And he's determined in this latest hostilities toward Armenia and Nagorno-Karabakh, or Artsakh, as we say it.
Right.
Yeah. It's a clear indication as far as what he's destined to do.
Right. Let me go back then. So 700 BC, the Armenian people are living in the area that they founded. Basically, they were one of the first Christian nations. You say the first Christian nation. I'm sure there's going to be arguments amongst us Greeks and everybody else.
Well, let me clarify that. It's not the first Christian nation. It's the first nation in 301 accepted Christianity as the national religion.
Oh, I see.
Country.
Right, during the Great Schism of 301. Right. Yeah, okay, exactly. I get it. Oh,
so
interesting.
It's not the first Christian nation or not. It's the first nation that accepted Christianity as its official religion of the country back in 301.
So basically, it's written law or written history, basically, that was the first one that accepted the religion of Christianity. I didn't know that. Oh, I get it. Yes. I believe you.
Thank you.
In 1915, the Ottoman Turks began basically their process of Armenian genocide of the Greeks, Assyrians, Armenians, etc. Right?
Yes, actually it started back in 1894.
Yeah, explain that to me.
From 1894, the oppression of the Turks started way back before 1915, and it wasn't just toward the Armenians, Greeks, Assyrians, because all of us collectively, the Armenians and Greeks and Assyrians, we were the upper middle class of the society.
Right.
We were the merchants, we were the hardworking taxpayers, and there was a rivalry in the existence over there. Number one. Number two, we were the Christians, we were the minorities. How we could have been better than them. So that was one issue. Taxation became bigger and bigger and bigger, and persecutions. And ultimately, under Sultan Hamid, the first massacres started, deportations started. And then when the Young Turks came over back in 1908, they start contemplating and they start planning the actual
genocide. We are on with Berg Apkarian. He is the Honorary Consul to the Republic of Armenia in the United States. We'll be right back after this. This is KMJ. News Talk 580-1059 KMJ. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. I'm attorney Marc Kapetan, your host. Today's show is brought to you by the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm, serving the Central Valley since '95. I'm serious, folks. If you have been injured in an auto accident, a truck or a motorcycle accident, it is a very trying time. Please do yourself a favor. Pick up the phone. Give us a call at 559-498-8000. I'd be happy to discuss the matter with you. If you've also been arrested, or if you've alternatively been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, give us a call. We can help. 559-498-8000. Kapetan Brothers. We are the Valley's law firm. We're back on with Berg Apkarian, who is the first Honorary Consul to the Republic of Armenia in the United States. He's also Vice President Physicians and International Health Relations at the Community Medical Centers. Berg, we were talking about the history of Armenia and the Ottoman Turks. I want to get one thing sort of clear so that it could be as neutral as possible. Can you fairly say that there is a difference between the Ottoman Turks and what you were about to discuss in the last segment, the Young Turks, and the Turkey that we knew existed for a period of time where they did allow freedom of religion? And although they may still claim that it is the case, it is starting to become a much more religious-based, Muslim-based country than it was. Do you see the difference between the two?
Well, actually, after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, when the Ataturk came, tried to westernize, they changed their alphabet, and they start becoming much more secular. Turkey has developed itself to become much more modern country up until the rise of the new Hitler in our world right now. I think
and you're talking about Erdogan.
Absolutely.
And it's fair to say, at least make the comparison in some respects, because I think he's explicitly identified with the Hitler's political party and his organization, and actually praised it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, absolutely. And if you look at it, for him to turn the Hagia Sophia into a mosque,
the Greek cathedral.
That's correct.
Which was just turned back into a mosque, and basically they kicked out the patriarch.
Absolutely. And if you take a look at recent developments in the region, where Turkey has currently armed forces in Cyprus,
right,
in Syria, invaded Syria, a sovereign nation, in Libya, in Qatar, in Azerbaijan. And if you look at the map, you see between Turkey and Azerbaijan, there's a small country, is an obstacle.
Artsakh.
It's Armenia and Artsakh. And so what he wants to do is just rebirth, bring the Ottoman Empire back.
Right.
And so he is acting just like Hitler did, his Hitler 2.0. And unfortunately, the Western civilization is silent, watching another Hitler rising into the ranks.
The history of this goes back to like you said, the Young Turks and the basically the Armenian genocide. At some point after the Armenian genocide, Turkey actually made an offensive into what's called the Artsakh region, which is a small region traditionally populated by Armenian people, and took over the area in about 1918, if I'm not mistaken, right?
During Soviet, at
the beginning of Soviet times.
Yes, prior to 1918. There was no Azerbaijan. If you look at Azerbaijan right now, they're not a nation. They're a collection of bunch of tribes. And
okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Sure.
Obviously, the Azeri people are going to say, "No, we're a nation," right?
No, they're not. And let me prove it to you in a very different fashion. The fights that are going on right now toward Artsakh and toward Armenia, who's fighting against Armenians and Artsakh brave people? Mercenaries brought from Syria, from Libya,
right.
Paid by the Turkish government,
right.
And what kind of a nation are they? So they can't even defend their territories. They want to bring mercenaries to fight against Armenians.
But again, playing devil's advocate with you, I understand that in the 1920s, Stalin basically invaded the whole area there. But he said, Armenia, you go to the Armenian people. Georgia, you go to the Georgian people. Azerbaijan, you go to the Azeri people. And there was about 70 years of peace under that rule, right?
Well, there was no peace. There was an oppression. So Armenians were not allowed to raise their voices and say, this does not belong. If you take a look at it, Mark, very quickly,
right.
For centuries, Armenians lived in that territory that is currently being talked about. It's disputed territory, never been disputed. If you go to that region, you don't see one mosque. They're all seminaries or Christian churches.
In the Artsakh region, you were saying.
Exactly.
And you did say what I was hoping you would say, is that it wasn't freedom of free people or peace of free people. It was oppression by the Soviet Union, right?
Yes. And when the collapse of Soviet Union came in 1989-90, that's where the Artsakh people rose again one more time to say, enough is enough.
A few years earlier, basically, the Artsakh people, they had what was called the self-determination vote, right?
Yes.
I did my my research, right?
Yes, yes. And if you would have heard President Putin yesterday, he eloquently expressed saying that the current dispute, it's not a territorial issue. It's a result of years of oppression and crimes starting from in Sumgait, in Azerbaijan, then subsequently in Nagorno-Karabakh, where Azeris literally killed thousands and thousands of Armenians.
Right.
So that hatred or the dispute does not come on the territorial level. It's crime against humanity.
Basically, what you're saying is because I know you're using a lot of names that are foreign to most of the people out there, is that at some point the Azeris and the Turks, when they invaded Artsakh, they also continued with a system of genocide at that point, right?
Yes.
In the Artsakh region, there's only about 130,000 Armenians left, but it is purely, from what I understand, an Armenian populated area.
Yes, 100%.
The Azeris or the Azeri region. So, are you saying that even Azerbaijan was historically, before Stalin split it up, was historically an Armenian region itself?
Yeah. Well, if you take a look at East Azerbaijan area, where they call it separatist disputed territory, that entire region was lived with Armenians lived in that area for centuries.
Right. In 1988, when they did the self-determination vote, did the Artsakhi, I'm going to use the term Artsakhi people, did the Artsakhi people vote to be completely autonomous and self-governing, or did they vote to be part of Armenia?
No, autonomous.
Yeah,
and linked to Armenia.
So it's my understanding
there's no territorial link between the Artsakh or Nagorno-Karabakh and Armenia. That's why in 1989, when they opened up the Lachin, what is called Lachin Corridor, that's where they connected Artsakh to a Republic of Armenia.
And it's my understanding that maybe the reason that they want to do this is because they do have the common Armenian heritage, the common religion, but also being such a small population of Armenians that they want to become a republic, just like Texas or California was, a republic of the country of Armenia. So a state of Armenia. Is that correct?
Is correct. Yes.
Is the fighting that's going on, we're going to get into the fighting in the next segment, is the fighting going on there purely religious, or is it oil and money?
No, it's oil and money.
It always is, right?
Always.
We are on with Berg Apkarian. He is the Vice President Physicians and International Health Relations at Community Hospital. He's also Honorary Consul to the Republic of Armenia for the United States. We will be right back on the Marc Kapetan Show after these messages. This is KMJ. Talk 580 1059 KMJ. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. I'm attorney Marc Kapetan, your host. Today's show brought to you by the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm, serving the Central Valley since 1995. If you've been injured in an auto accident, a truck accident, or a motorcycle accident, remember to give us a call at 559-498-8000. Or if you've been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, call us so we can help. 559-498-8000. Kapetan Brothers, we are the Valley's law firm. And before I forget, my producer Marcella Taylor is yelling in my ear, like us on Facebook, Kapetan Brothers Law Firm page on Facebook. Is that correct, Marcella?
Yes.
Marcella says yes, like us on Facebook. Folks, we are on with Berg Apkarian. He is the Honorary Consul to the Republic of Armenia, and he's explaining very, very diligently and concisely the history of Armenia and the conflict that is currently going on there. Berg, we left off with the self-determination vote of the Artsakh people. At some point in 1991, the Soviet Union falls, though, and what happens at that point?
Well, war raged in a very, very intense level, and it came from 1989 all the way to 1994. Subsequently, a ceasefire treaty was signed by Azerbaijan. Very interesting, Azerbaijan and Artsakh people.
Oh, Armenia was not part of it.
Armenia came later into that to become a signatory to the ceasefire process.
Basically, once the Soviets fell and there was no longer the thumb of oppression of the Soviet rule, Azerbaijan basically wanted to take over the Artsakh region and invaded, or I'm talking from the Armenian side. But it may be fair to say that just war broke out between Armenia and Azerbaijan, right?
Actually, no. As the region declared its independence and developed its process to become a republic, so Azeris attacked, and the region Artsakh people not only defended, they pushed them so bad. The impact of that was very, very severe on Azerbaijan. And so subsequently, Russia got involved, and a ceasefire treaty or agreement came into effect, and Azeris and Artsakh people signed the initial ceasefire, and then subsequently Armenia signed as well.
Is it, and I may have skipped over part of it, when prior to the Soviets falling, did the Soviets hand decree, even though there was the self-determination vote by the Artsakh people, did the Soviets hand over Artsakh region to Azerbaijan?
Back in 1920s, yes. And
back in the 20s.
Yeah, Stalin did.
Okay.
Stalin gave not only that region, but if you take a look at west of Armenia, southwest of Armenia, there's a region called Nakhichevan.
Okay.
Nakhichevan region, that belongs to Armenia. Stalin gave that region to them as well. It's absolutely makes no sense what Stalin did.
So it creates this conflict in 1991. The war breaks out. I understand 30,000 people died during the war.
Yes.
So it was a tragic war. I mean,
very, very tragic.
Eventually, peace between Azerbaijan, the Artsakh people, and Armenia lasts from 1991 up until about 2016. Is that fair to say?
Yes, but there were some skirmishes here and there.
Right.
But in 2016, 4-day war was a major one. And we had lots of casualties. From the Armenian side, there were 100 fallen soldiers.
Right.
And right after that...
and it was real quick, it was a Azeri incursion into the Artsakh region again.
The same thing, yes.
Okay.
The same thing, but a much more smaller scale. But then subsequently, Russia got involved and the war stopped again. And then they remain skirmishes here and there, whatever, but not at the large scale up until July. July
of this year.
In July of this year, they attacked on the Armenian side. Not in Azeri didn't attack the
Artsakh region.
In the Armenian side, in the northeast. But that lasted a couple of days. But right after that, Turkey and Azerbaijan, in August of this year, they did a major military drill in close proximity to the Armenian border. And right after that military drill, Turkey left personnel, armaments, everything, and in preparation for the actual war that commenced on September 27th.
I understand left drones, armaments, even may have helped support Syrian mercenary fighters.
Yes, and also Turkish military officers to command and control and guide the war. We knew Republic of Armenia, who anticipated that there's going to be a major attack on us. But we did not anticipate that Turkey is going to play the level of involvement as it's playing right now.
And I didn't realize that they had left some of their commanders in command. So basically, this is Turkey fighting a proxy war through Azerbaijan.
That is correct, yes.
Erdogan, that type of expansion or attempts at expansion, plus Erdogan's statements that he wants to finish what his grandfather started, should have that whole region, Greeks included, scared that this is exactly what you were stating earlier. This is basically Hitler's Germany, the Roman armies trying to take over the world, basically, right?
Yes, it is a very sad story. Mark and I have been on TV and on radio stating this very clearly. The entire West, the entire moral compass of the world is sleeping right now, watching a second Hitler rising, and is in defiant of world order, including European Parliament, including United States and the and United Nations Security Council, everything that you can think of.
Okay, so then the question is, like it is with the Jewish people and the Arabs, Israeli and the Arabs, what is the answer? Can the Azeri people, the Turkish people, if we get back to the Turkey that we remember in the past 100 years, that they were a lot more open, more secular, is there a point to where these people can live together?
Yes. There's always a diplomatic opportunity and vehicle for people to sit down across each other in good faith, and there has to be mutual concessions and discussions to settle this issue. This could be settled if Turkey backs out of this environment and not creating destabilizing situation for the entire region.
What can the U.S. do, or what would you like the U.S. to do?
Well, I am very, very pleased, and I'm grateful to President Trump for today in the Oval Office. He made a very powerful and strong statement. He said, there are a lot of Armenians in this region, in this country. We love them. They're very hardworking individuals, and we love Armenians and Armenia, and we're going to support them.
This just happened today.
This morning, yes.
That's a beautiful thing, because we're waiting for. He's bringing peace to the between the Arabs and the Israelis, and it's unbelievable. I think just today, also with Sudan, they've signed a new agreement. So, are you hopeful that there may be an agreement sometime in the future?
Yes, and I think the United States. We all know United States can play a tremendous role by telling Turkey, back off and stay out of this conflict.
Right. What do you think you personally or your consulate could do to try to encourage the president to do that? What attempts are you going to make?
I have been making a lot of efforts.
Do you have personal connections that you could actually maybe speak to the president or some of his representatives about this?
We have been working with our local congressional representatives, with Devin Nunes' office, with Jim Costa's office, TJ Cox's office.
And they're all in favor of peace in the area.
Absolutely.
We're going to be right back with Berg Apkarian. He is the Honorary Consul to the Republic of Armenia in the United States. This is the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ. Talk 580-1059 KMJ. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. I'm attorney Marc Kapetan, your host. Today's show brought to you by the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm. We've been serving you guys since 1995. If you have been in an auto accident, a truck accident, or a motorcycle accident, go ahead and pick up that phone. Call our office at 559-498-8000. If I'm not in, go ahead and leave a message. I'll be happy to discuss it with you. Or if you've been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, call us. We can help. 559-498-8000. Kapetan Brothers. We are the Valley's law firm. We've been speaking with Berg Apkarian, the Honorary Consul to the Republic of Armenia, giving us a great history of Armenia and the conflicts that are going on over there. But let's get to a more personal thing. You are obviously Armenian yourself, right?
Yes.
Okay. But you were born where?
In Syria.
In Syria. So how did mom and dad get to Syria? Is it a common thing for the Armenians to be from these other areas? And how did you get over to the United States?
Well, right after the genocide, that's as a result of the genocide, Armenians who survived. My grandmother was the only family member who survived.
So it wiped out your whole family, both sides,
yes.
And just your one grandmother.
My
Wow.
grandmother passed through the desert of Deir Zor and survived and stayed in the city of Deir Zor for quite some time.
Deir Zor's in where?
In Syria.
Okay.
In east Syria. That's the desert where millions of Armenians, hundreds of thousands of them, died walking in that heat.
So were they dying from the trip itself, or wasn't the Turks also following them into the desert and killing them?
No food, no water, in the heat in April. You can imagine how hot it was at that time.
And did she tell you the story? Did they just come into their house and just...
Well, my grandmother was at the age of 13 when a Kurdish family rescued her.
Really?
It was a miracle. A Kurdish family rescued her because none of her family members survived. They were all killed. And so they rescued her and then subsequently transported her into Deir Zor. So subsequently, as they established themselves and then they moved to Aleppo, city of Aleppo.
Right, sure.
Yeah, and she got married, and my mother subsequently got married, and then I was born in Aleppo, Syria, and then in 1979, I decided to come to the United States to pursue higher education.
You have, I think, is a very, very common story. You think that would be such a tragic story for one person to tell, but literally most of the Armenian people that I've talked to have the exact same story.
Absolutely. My grandmother used to bring all the grandkids of her grandkids, my siblings and my cousins, and she would try to, because we always were interested to know her story, and so she would start common ground saying, look, I know this is sad, but I need to tell you. But then she will say a couple sentences and break down and cry because she will live the memories of the horror and the tragedy that was unimaginable at the age of 13.
You know, we hear about the Holocaust with the Jewish people, and you hear these stories that the family members just have this deep, dark sense about a part of their lives. What was interesting for me is that the Armenian people, you took me with 25 doctors, etc., and I was the only lawyer, and of course I got the brunt of all the jokes, basically. You took me to the beautiful, beautiful city of Yerevan in Armenia on your medical mission. You have an annual medical mission, right?
Yes.
And I understand you guys aren't going this year, that you're going to be sending supplies.
Yes. Unfortunately, back in March, I was in Armenia trying to plan for this upcoming medical mission with 54 team members, unbelievable number of specialties. Unfortunately, given the COVID and its implications, a lot of doctors felt very uncomfortable going. So as a result of the war itself, so we worked very closely with the government of Armenia to prepare. We're sending almost 50 boxes worth of $50,000+ of medical urgently needed supplies.
Well, and urgently needed. It's a former Soviet state. It is, I'll tell you, it is third world as far as their medical is concerned in many respects. There's a lot of brilliant doctors there. But it was a heck of a trip. It was a beautiful area. I did not expect what I saw there. Beautiful people, a beautiful city, very cosmopolitan. It's just a wonderful life over there being threatened by this recent skirmish, right? Or this recent attack, right?
Yes, absolutely.
What surprised me the most, though, and you're telling your story, is that we went to a ballet on one of the nights. It was this beautiful outdoor upstairs, downstairs location, and they did a ballet, and I thought, oh, how beautiful, there's a ballet. And in the end of the ballet, the people had this material that they had stretched out that looked like Mount Ararat. Mm-hmm. And I say that with the proper rolling of the R's, if you notice there.
Yes.
It's Mount Ararat, where basically Noah and Noah's Ark landed according to biblical biblical history. What amazed me was that these young people were doing this beautiful ballet, but had that sense, not of an initial sense of sorrow, but then a sense that Ararat was going to rise again, and that the people were going to establish their nation again, and they're going to rise out of the ashes, is basically the story that most Armenian people have shown there in that ballet, right?
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. Even in this war, we are determined. We're strong. We're united throughout the world. And in the Central San Joaquin Valley in particular, that this is an unjust war, but we will prevail because our cause is just and our soldiers are brave and God is with us. And
you have a spirit that is unlike anything I've seen. The cause may be just, the soldiers may be brave, but the people, and I'm not trying to be dramatic about this, I've never seen a people more determined to bring themselves out of the devastation that was caused to them.
Yes, and if you think about it, back 100 years ago, Armenians settled in this region. They came with nothing. Mm-hmm. They started farming, they started working, they started contributing to society, and they're now part of the fabric, what makes Fresno great. So we need to build on that. We need to focus on building and creating rather than destroying and destructing.
And you guys do a wonderful job. I know there's a lot of Armenian schools throughout the United States, and one here in Fresno, where they do teach the kids. And I think it's important to remember history. We shouldn't gloss over these things. These kids, they don't have to have a lifetime of depression or guilt or whatever it is because of it. They can have that sense that we need to contribute and pay back to our ancestors, which is something that I think is missing in American culture.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. And the thing that I love the most, they are great Americans and they are great Armenians. So they don't lose their identity, but then they take pride in this country because this country has been great to us.
My grandfather used to say, we are not Greek Americans. We are Americans of Hellenic descent, and we always have to pay back to our forefathers.
That is absolutely correct.
I'll tell you, it's been a wonderful time. If anybody has a chance to go on the Armenian medical mission with Berg Apkarian, you're full of life. You made it the most wonderful trip that I've been on.
Thank you.
You are a heck of a dancer, like I said in the beginning of this. I think everybody needs to witness that.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's very kind of you. I'm not sure about that, but I accept it.
Can you please say hello to your lovely wife for me, please, too?
Yes, I miss my wife. It was our anniversary a couple days ago, so...
Happy anniversary.
Thank you very much.
Berg Apkarian, Honorary Consul to the Republic of Armenia and Vice President of Physicians and International Health Relations at Community Medical Centers. We'll see you next week on the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ.